Kickest is the best fantasy football game out there, and one of the reasons why it is the best is because it has the best scoring system. And the perfect example to prove my point is this chap right here. We all know who this is. We know Rodri. We know he's won the Premier League, he's won the Champions League, he's recently won the World Cup, Ballon d'Or winner. Despite how good he is in real life, and he's one of probably the best I've ever seen in his position, I have never had him in FPL. 7 years he's played at Man City, I never had him in FPL because he doesn't get goals, he doesn't get assists. If you played World Cup Fantasy, even though Spain were the best team, I don't think anybody had him in their team because he doesn't get goals or assists. But if he played in Italy and he was available for you to have in Kickest Fantasy, he would be a fantastic Kickest Fantasy player because they have an extensive scoring system, not just goals and assists and clean sheets. So Rodri would be great in Kickest because, well, he averages about 90 completed passes a game. So that would be 9 points right there just from passing the ball. He is a dueling monster. You get more points for winning duels than what you lose for losing duels. Obviously, he's winning about I think it was 70% a clip. I checked before going on to record this video, and ball recoveries. In Kickest, I know that ball recoveries are tackles won and interceptions, so there'd be another 3 to 4 points to be getting from ball recoveries. So the thing, basically, the way that I like this scoring system so much is that if you're a good player in real life, you're going to be a good player in Kickest. Just become all the possible routes there are to scoring points. So if I get up the best players from Kickest last season, if we'll have a look at this list, I'll just zoom in a little bit there so you can see that. There's nobody on this list who is a bad player in real life. Because if I was to have a list like this for a different fantasy football competition where it's just based on clean sheets and goals and assists, there'll be players who are good fantasy players but not good in real life. Everybody in this list, yep, good player. There's a few very good players who have missed off because this is ranked by total points. So say Kevin De Bruyne and Çalhanoğlu. Might have pronounced his name correctly. Çalhanoğlu. I think I nailed it. Yep, they missed the list because injuries last season, so they didn't have a good total overall, but they would have a very good average. I think we'll take it by position next. So if we move on to goalkeepers, one thing to notice is that goalkeepers get 10 points for a clean sheet, whereas defenders get half that at 5. But you can get a good score for a goalkeeper if they concede. So say they let in a goal inside the box, they'll lose 2 points. But even if they make only 2 saves, they would lose 2 points from letting one in, but gain 3 points from 2 saves. So they'll be up 1 point. So even if you let goals in, if you get plenty of saves, you can get a decent score. You'll get an amazing score if you had a penalty save. And another thing to note is that I mentioned accurate passes. Goalkeepers don't lose points for failed passes. So if we go to have a look at the top point scoring goalkeepers from last season, another Como player there, Butez, he was the top point scorer. He got 19 clean sheets last season, and Roma's goalkeeper got 18. Talking about passes again, he does pick up a lot of points from passes, about 30 completed passes per game. So that's 3 points just from passing. Add in saves, if you get a clean sheet, you're going to get a good score for a goalkeeper. So the first 4 there, you could say, well, they're top teams, so they're going to finish in the top 7. But beyond that, Cremonese got relegated last season, Lecce fighting relegation. You can get value for money if you choose a goalkeeper who plays for a team that's going to be finishing down the bottom of the table. If they have a good run of fixtures, I mean, you can just look at the averages. Look at the average column. There's not a big spread between the top average and the bottom average here. So depends how you want to play this. If you have a top goalkeeper, you've got to make sacrifices elsewhere in your squad, or you could have a cheap goalkeeper, try and get value for money and spend the money elsewhere in your squad. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on the fixture tracker. Kickers provide a good FDR for that. I'm going to have a look. I'm going to talk about defenders next. Goals. Obviously, I did mention about goals and assists, and quite rightly, if you get a goal, you're going to get plenty of points. 18 points for a defender. One thing to note, penalties are their own. You get less points for a penalty goal than you do for a goal from open play. I think that's fair. I like that. I'm happy with that. The defenders that I like to have in my team are, well, there's one or two. Obviously, you want a attacking fullback like Dimarco, obviously, or an aggressive centre half. When I say aggressive, I'm talking about someone who's going to be making lots of interceptions, lots of tackles, ball recoveries, winning duels, things like that. Although I could describe Mancini as aggressive for his style of play. Good player. So attacking fullbacks, Dimarco is one. Cambiasso is another for Juve. And also Palestra. He was a bit of a favourite last season. Not for me, but for many others, he was a favourite. And one last one, Wesley. There's certain little things you notice when you play fantasy football, and if you've got eagle eyes, a lot of Dimarco's returns, a lot of his hauls came when Dumfries wasn't playing last season. I mean, both of them are like wingers at times, but when Dumfries was out, it was more like Dimarco had more freedom to go forward. Dumfries has gone to Real Madrid. Spencer's been signed to play on the right, so that's something to keep an eye on. Will Dimarco play better without Dumfries? Or will it, how will Spence impact on him? That's something to keep an eye on for him. But he was the best point scorer by a long way. A lot of goals, a lot of assists. And a change that Kickest made this season is if you create a big chance, you're getting points for that, which is good because you could create a big chance and the striker misses a sitter and you're not getting any points for that. So even if they miss a sitter, you're going to get points for that, which is good. More avenue to more points. That is what I want. We are going to move on to midfielders next. And we shall zoom in again. Oh, Nico Paz. Let's talk about him. He's a superstar. He is a fantastic player. The top point scorer by a long shot, by a long way. He gets goals, he gets assists, wins duels, gets recoveries. Even if you make a successful dribble, there it is, you get a point for that. He just picks up points from a lot of different avenues. Whereas Locatelli. So Locatelli, he only scored 1 goal, 2 assists in the whole of the season. If this was, a standard fantasy football game, he would not be a good player at all. I had him in my team plenty last season, but if this was a game that relied on goal involvements, he would not be a good player. But it's better at reflecting real life. I do think he's a good player. He gets a lot of undue criticism on social media, I think, but he's a very good player. He gets plenty of passes, creates chances, wins duels, makes recoveries. Yeah, he's just a good player. And he's rewarded with this scoring system. I can say the same about Modric. I think he's only got 2 goals, 3 assists last season. He's just going to pick up points every game. You just notice him every game. A lot goes through him. And beyond that, yeah, plenty of good players. Players who score goals like McTominay, or players who are sort of all-rounders. Like this chap for Parma. I think he's a defensive midfielder. Another interesting pick. A lot of players had Atta in their team last season for Udinese. He's gone to Fiorentina. I think he might be another one to watch for this season coming up. And finally, we're going to talk about forwards. So, forwards. Yildiz was top point scorer for forwards by a long shot. a lot of forwards last season, they needed to score to get a good score in Kickest. The biggest example of this is Højlund. I mean, Højlund either scores and he gets a good fantasy score, or he doesn't score and he gets a terrible fantasy score. And he gets a terrible fantasy score because he has a lot of failed passes. And especially for him, he loses possession, I should say, a lot of the time. But Kickest have recognised that forwards needed a little bit of a bump. They needed a little helping hand to get some more points, and they've added in this attribute here: touches in the opposition box. I like that. That is a good idea, and that will definitely benefit Rasmus Højlund. Because even if he doesn't score, he's going to get quite a few touches in the box, so that's more route to points for him. Yildiz, he gets plenty of points for scores goals, gets assists, and he also gets a lot of dribbles. I think it was 3.6 dribbles per 90 last season. So a point for a dribble. Plenty of dribbly boys are in here. Yildiz gets plenty of dribbles. Suel or Salidi, and a big dribbler there, Conceição. He likes to dribble. And one other thing I'm going to mention about forwards who can get plenty of shots will get plenty of points. Shots on target. One shot on target is 2 points. So that is, I think I've covered all the points that I wanted to make about why I like the scoring system so much. You can find that in the rules at this link at the top right here. And yeah, hope to see you in this competition this season. Thank you for watching.